Welcome to The Stacks, a podcast about books and the people who read them. I'm your host, Tracy Thomas, and it is time for everyone's favorite episode of the year. It is the best books of 2024, all broken down for you with two incredible guests. I am joined today by Greta Johnsen, who is the former host of Nerdette and a longtime friend of this very podcast, as well as MJ Franklin, editor at the New York Times Book Review. These are two iconic book people, and I am so excited to have them with me as we talk about the trends of the year, what we loved, what we hated, and of course, our 10 best books. We're also going to look forward to 2025 and a few titles we cannot wait to read. Remember, our book club pick for December is Tacky by Rax King. I will be back with Nora McInerney to discuss this book on Wednesday, December 25th. Yes, Christmas. So be sure to read along and tune in. Quick reminder, everything we talk about on each episode of The Stacks can be found in the link in the show notes. If you love this podcast, if you want more of it, if you want inside access, a readerly community, bonus episodes, monthly virtual book club meetups, all of that and more, you got to go join the Stacks Pack over on Patreon. That's patreon.com/thestacks. You get all those things I listed. You'll get to be part of our mega reading challenge, which kicks off January 1st. You'll get to vote in our annual reading awards, the Stackies. You'll get access to my book tracker, which I talk about on today's episode. You only get that through the end of the month. So go to patreon.com/thestacks and join to earn those perks. Another perk is that you get a shout out on the show. So thank you so much to Jody Zeismer, Karen Gomar, Nessa Robre, and AJ Wall for joining the Stacks Pack. Also, you can now gift access to the Stacks Pack by going to patreon.com/thestacks/gift. This is a great last minute gift. And I even have a little gift card you can print out, wrap up, and slide under the tree for the book lover in your life. One more way you can support the show is by subscribing to my newsletter. That is tracythomas.substack.com. It's called Unstacked. I give you bookish hot takes. I give you lists, power rankings, all sorts of good stuff. And you can gift that as well. Go to tracythomas.substack.com. Okay, that's it. Are you guys ready for this? Time for our best books of 2024 with Greta Johnsen and MJ Franklin. All right, everybody, it is everyone's favorite episode of the year. Unfortunately for this podcast, I have to wait till the second to last week of the year to get you all to listen. But here we are. The time has come. It is our best books of the year episode. I have brought in two extremely heavy hitters. I have Greta Johnsen. You already know her. You all love her. She is formerly the host of the Nerdette podcast. She is currently the author of the Greta Graham Substack that is so popular. She's given you recipes. She's given you book club. She also hosts podcasts about things that aren't books, which I don't even know what those are. I guess there's TV shows that some of you watch.
Yeah, something called Game of Thrones and Dune. Don't worry about it.
Two little things, but both based on books. So
yes, yeah.
I've never seen either of those things, but I think some of you have. You heard the voice. It's Greta Johnsen. Welcome back, Greta.
Hi, Tracy. I'm so excited to be here. I'm not talking about books enough, so I'm just thrilled. I'm giddy to get to be here with y'all today.
I'm so thrilled. Our second guest, back for a second year in a row. He is an editor at the New York Times Book Review. Ever heard of it? A small publication that talks about a few books and has zero influence in the culture. He is a friend of the show, a genius, a lovely human, a legend among men, MJ Franklin.
What an intro. Thank you for having me. I had so much fun doing this episode last year, so thank you, number one, for having me back. And then two, can I just say, I am huge fans of both. Whenever we get together, it's the most fun time we have talking about books.
Yes.
I was at a book party a few weeks ago, and I spent the entire time talking to various people about how much we love specifically both of you. We're like, Tracy is on top of the world this year. This is her year. We're like, Greta is doing everything. How does she have the time? So in addition to just loving talking about books, I love talking with you and also about you. I'm just stands. I'm just stands, a stand of both of you.
It's so embarrassing because I feel the same way.
Same.
And I know people at home listening are like, shut up. You guys are so annoying. Stop being friends. Start talking shit. But you know what? You can't break this bond. Greta, you linked us together, the three of us together for the first time when you made us talk about a book that I didn't like, that MJ did like, about a serial killer, but it was literary. And
And that was
what
years
was that
ago.
called? Notes on an Execution.
It was Notes on an Execution.
Still love that book.
Same. And still love you, Tracy. That like the bond was formed. And we are, this is just like so much fun always for the three of us to be together. So thanks for doing that, Tracy.
We're back. We got the band back together. And now we're doing 2024 books. So can you both just quickly introduce yourself to the audience as far as what kind of books you generally are drawn to, so that they have a sense when you name your favorite books? If you're like, oh, my favorite book is a book about botany, and you're like, oh, I'm also a botanist. Like, people might need to know what you look for, what kind of books like really speak to your soul. So Greta, do you want to start there?
Gosh, yes, this is a good question. And I probably should have thought about that more. But I guess as a reader, so I don't read the back of the book. I find the synopsis to give away too much. So I am judging books by covers, and I am going off of blurbs. I think my favorites are literary fiction that are still like, I'm tempted to use the word trashy, but like have like a tastiness. They don't feel like homework. They're good. They're fun. They're delicious. They go down easy, but they're still about things, is like generally the sort of book I like. So usually it's plotty. Sometimes it's a little salacious, but those I would say are like my absolute favorites. But beyond that, I mean, I also like, I'm a big genre reader. I'll do especially sci-fi and fantasy I really love, and romance now and then too. So it's like a pretty broad, but mostly fiction for the most part.
Okay. MJ, how about you?
I am very similar. I am a fiction girl through and through. That is where my home is. I try to read pretty broadly, though. So I do dabble in nonfiction, but like fiction is where I feel most comfortable. And then in fiction, I read all over. I love literary fiction. I want meticulously crafted sentences. I want a strong metaphor. I want a feeling that something is afoot. I don't want just the story, but I want some type of rendering there. I'm using all these pretentious words, but like that's what hooks me. Not just the story, but like how we get there, how it's told. I do read genre. I dabble in some horror, some romance. I read pretty widely. Sometimes I like quiet books where nothing really happens. You just kind of feel ambiently bad along with the character. Sometimes I love a book with a maximalist plot. But the overall feeling of fiction where you feel like something is afoot is how I would describe myself.
I love that.
I love something is afoot. That's the only kind of fiction I like.
It
Something's
feels like
got to be afoot,
right?
Yep.
So similar to you all, I like things afoot. I like things to happen if I'm reading fiction. Unlike you, MJ, if nothing happens, it's an automatic close. Goodbye. Never want to talk to you again. Why are you wasting my time?
Yeah, I'm closer to that too. Like, oh my God.
If it's fiction, I need something, even if it's just the fear of something is gonna happen, that might be enough to sustain me through a book if it's short. But as you all know listening, my bread and butter is nonfiction. I love nonfiction. If you can give me good narrative nonfiction, you can become my boyfriend. That is how I started dating Patrick Raddenkeefe. He gave me good nonfiction, and we've been going steady for years now, okay? And I love any sort of nonfiction about a government agency or very wealthy organization who's done a terrible, terrible thing. That's really my extremely niche love, but also a memoir I can be into. But you all know that. Okay. Another question about your year in reading this year is, I don't know how much you all track your reading. I'm intense, but approximately how many books have you read up until this point? We've got 2 weeks left in the year. And then how many of those would you say were 2024 releases if you had to guess?
I guess I can start because my easy answer is I have no clue. I think we talked about this last year.
This. Oh yeah.
The reason is because I like separate my personal reading versus my work reading, but I spend all my time doing work reading. So I also meticulously track work reading. I have a spreadsheet, and I think right now I'm at 51 books for me personally, but it takes a lot for a book to get onto that list, I can read something like for work many times, and unless I've read it specifically for me, it doesn't go in there. And Tracy, we talked about this last year, and I think
so the 51 is the personal, not the work reading.
Yeah,
correct.
That's amazing.
So that's 51 on
Got
top
it.
of all my work reading.
And do you have any sense of what the work reading is?
Not at all.
Amount?
Not at
No
all.
sense.
Because we're just reading constantly. And here's a prime example of why it's so hard to tabulate. Say I'm trying to choose a book for book club, and I read 75% into 4 different books.
Right.
Right.
I will finish the one that we end up doing.
Right.
That makes it onto my list. The other 3 don't unless I go back and read them later. But at that point, it's like what, weeks, months afterward? Like I'm not in that
Yeah.
same
Yeah, you don't
headspace.
have
So
time
it doesn't
for that.
Okay.
feel like a normal person reading experience. So it doesn't go on my spreadsheet.
You have to, okay, you need to take notes next year because now I'm so curious
I know,
of how many of
same.
these, like you need to just make a little spreadsheet where it's like finished it, didn't finish it.
Yeah, dabbled, skimmed.
Yeah, just because I need to know. I'm just so curious, like how many books you're reading into, especially because like you're a professional reader at an
Right.
institution. So I'm
Yeah.
curious like what that looks like for someone of your ilk.
Yeah, this is a good note, and I definitely will. I've been getting this question enough that I hate not having a good answer, so I will amend my spreadsheet next year. But part of the reason for me of the spreadsheet and why I separate it out is because I'm sure you two get this all the time. Like reading for work can sometimes take the pleasure out of reading, and so having a spreadsheet or some type of barrier that says, actually, you need to focus on you is helpful. So that's why I'm so strict about compartmentalizing to keep
Make
the
a
joy of
different
reading alive.
tab.
Yeah.
Make a different
Yeah.
tab for your work. So in my reading spreadsheet, I have a tab for reason read, and it's a drop down for fun, for work, for the Stacks Book Club, for the reading challenge, for whatever. And so that way I can see everything I've read together, but I can also see why I read something. And then there's like a little calculation. So I know the percentage, blah, blah, blah.
That's so interesting though, because ideally it is both for fun and for work, right?
So for
isn't
me,
that the
everything
fucking
is
goal,
technically
y'all?
work.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's different for MJ.
I get
Yes.
assigned. I get
Yeah.
assigned
Everything, everything I read, I get to choose what I'm reading. I don't get
Right.
assigned anything. And then also everything I read, I end up reviewing on my page.
Right.
So it's technically work at some point.
Right.
But I try to go in with like, why did I pick this up? Did I pick this up because I knew I had to interview the person, which
Right.
is work?
Yeah.
Or did I pick it up because I was curious about it, which is fun?
Yeah.
Can I say one more? I feel like I want to know your answer too. But the other thing I just want to say is about reading as an editor is also tricky because I am constantly trying to remove myself from the reading process. Because as an assigning editor, it's not necessarily my job to say, I love this book. It's my job to
so
look
cool.
into it and say, is there something here that someone else can
That's
like
so
will dig into?
fascinating.
And
Yeah.
so even if it's a book that I love and I've given to a reviewer, like I never want to say that out loud to that reviewer because I don't want to influence their feelings about the
Right.
book.
That's
So I
interesting.
don't totally get rid of my own opinion. Like I'm guided by my own taste, but
Yeah.
work reading is reading that is guided by another set of principles
Yeah.
than just like, am I into it? Do I like it? And like that shapes inevitably how you do the reading.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
It's fascinating. That's wild.
Okay, Greta, how many books and how do you track if you do? And if you did, how many were from this year?
So I just counted this morning because I had a feeling you were going to ask me. I'm at 86.
Okay.
I track them in this little book that I've been using
gosh.
since 2013. So it's just like lists and lists and lists and lists and lists of books.
Oh my gosh. Greta, take a picture of that so I can post that on social
Cool.
media so people, because this is an audio.
I will.
form.
It's literally just title and author, and it's by month. But it's pretty cool to be able to, I mean, especially over 10 years now, it's fun to like just
Yeah.
open it up and like I can place myself like, oh, I remember the apartment I lived in, or like I remember the walk I was on when I was listening to that. It's really lovely. I should count out the vast majority of my reading these days is audiobooks. But I still do some printed stuff as well. And I think I only read one book from not 2024 this year, and it was Dune.
Oh,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'd have to double check that, but I'm pretty confident they were all
Do you
from this year.
mostly read books in the year that they come out? So like in 2025, is there anything from this year that you're hoping to still get to, or are you moved on?
That's a great question. I mean, there are still a couple from this year that I want to try and get in. Like Help Wanted is one that I just like haven't read yet, but has been buzzy enough that it's like I would like to get to that. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm already also reading something that does come out next year. So I
What
do
is it?
sort of think, I think it's called Hot Air.
That's one
By
of the books I told MJ about this book. Okay,
Oh,
if
funny.
this book blows up,
Yes.
if this book blows up, I want credit because it's a fiction book I discovered, and I never ever do that.
Yeah, Tracy recommended it to me. I then read it over Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I want to
funny.
talk to you about this book.
Great.
Okay.
Great. It's funny because I like just have such little like actual reading time and I'm reading it in print. And so I'm like moving my way very slowly through it, but I find it very charming and kind of off-putting at the same time. It's a really interesting one.
Okay, I'm reading it next. I'm currently reading a 2025 book, and then I'm going to pick that up next.
Awesome.
Okay, I'm so excited. Because I can't have you two, if this book pops, I cannot have you two taking credit for this book because I found this book. Okay, I invented this book. Marcy.
Tracy. So yeah, that's okay. I have started a little, and I think I will sort of turn the page with the new year, but it also depends like what's coming out in January and February. You know, like I do think that's part of it too, is like those often, even December, I think is like a pretty slow publishing month in terms of new releases. So it's a great opportunity to kind of try and catch up on stuff that I may have missed through the year. And I imagine I'll do that for a couple more months, especially with audio since those books are already out, you know?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, Greta? Which is how is it just like we're in the next year and I'm on to the next thing? Or is like a discipline like the year is done, even if I'm not excited about stuff in 2025, I cannot go back to 2024. Like how does that line of you have to read the books in the year that they came out, how strict is that?
That's a really good question. I mean, it used to be maybe more strict when I was, you know, working on Nerdette and like trying to do author interviews regularly with folks who had books out and were doing press tours for them. These days, you know, I'm still doing a book club through my Substack, Gretagram, but I am my own boss at this moment in time, which means I'm going to do whatever the fuck I want, right? Because that's the gift I can give myself. So yeah,
Happy holidays, everyone.
So, you know, and MJ, I don't know if you were like, we had a conversation years ago where you were like, don't read a book you don't like, you know, and like, I think you said something about aspiring to read less the following year. And that's something that I've thought a lot about over the several years since then too, where it's like, I'm trying to be much more rigorous about like, if this book isn't working for me, I don't have to, no one is telling me I need to read it. Mm-hmm. There really is no obligation. So I think especially given my current employment situation, it's like, I'm going to read for fun and I'm going to like, so if there's a 2025 book that looks fun and interesting, which there are several, I'm very excited about that. But otherwise, like, yeah, I'm not going to hold myself to the year I am currently in. No.
I love it. Okay. For the sake of transparency, I have read 131 books so far this year.
Oh my God, you're cruising.
84 of them are from 2024, which is 64% of my reading has been 2024 books. I am still finishing up a few 2024 books on audio that were on the New York Times 10 best books, the nonfiction side, because I want to hate that list, but I want to make sure that I read everything from it so that I can really hate
so
it.
Rigorous,
MJ.
Tracy. Respect.
I'm a rigorous hater.
That is the energy that I want to bring to all things. And we're all book nerds. Like doing the homework is very important to all of us.
Yes. It's so important. And because the truth is, and I've said this to you before, and I think we talked about this last year, and I think I said it to Gilbert to his face, is like, I genuinely love the New York Times lists, not because I agree with you all most of the time, but because I think that they're exciting and fun. And so reading this 10 books at the end of the year list is to me my favorite of any book list, award list, anything, even though most of the time I disagree vehemently with at least 2 of the nonfiction picks. So it is a joy for me. And I've never actually been a full completist of the list before the year was out. So I'm doing the wide sea currently, and I am bored out of my mind, MJ. I know you told me that the people who were on the nonfiction side said that it was just kept delivering, so I'm giving it a chance. I'm only 2 hours in. I got 13 to go. Woo! And then I'm going to go to the 975-hour biography of Reagan, and that will probably be my last 2024 read.
Tracy.
Might be the last read of my life. I don't know that I'm going to survive
that could be it.
7 years of Reagan, but I'm going to try. I will DNF both of them if I don't like them, but I'm going to try. So I should probably end with about 86 2024 reads if I'm able to finish. So we'll
Damn.
see.
How do you have time for 130 books in a year, especially as like you're working so much and like the
Also,
depth that you
mother
read
of
these books into and you're
twins.
covering them? How do you have the time?
That's such a great question. So I definitely audiobook a lot.
And
that
you're
helps
like
me.
1.25ing, I assume.
I'm like 1.5 to 1.75.
Oh, there it is. There it is. There
I'm going
it is.
fast. I'm
That's what
going
it was.
Well, to me, that's how people talk. I don't talk at a 1. I talk at least a 1.5. I think I probably, if I'm excited, I talk at a 1.75. So for me, it's the only way I can hear it. Like, and then I read at night and I read in the morning. And sometimes if I'm on deadline, I don't do my other work and I read in the middle of the day. I don't know. And I mean, also like I read all sorts of kinds of books. So sometimes that means I'm reading a cookbook or something for work, or so it's not all just like straight novels or straight nonfiction, though I think the percentage, I think I read 2 cookbooks this year. So it's not like, or like, I think I read like 3 poetry, like sometimes poetry, sometimes other things that are smaller that sort of fill out. And some months I read a lot and some months I read very little. So it just sort of depends, but that I'm actually down from last year, which is sort of lovely. And I'm hoping to continue a downward trend.
I think that aspiring to a downward trend is really, really lovely.
Yeah. Every year I set my goal the same. It's 100 at this point because
Yeah.
that feels like responsible with the workload. But every year I go over 100. I'm like, you failed.
Tracy.
Too many.
Well, the downward spiral, downward trend, read less is not about like get rid of the books, burn the book. It's like a quality over quantity, right? Like I want to read the book and I want to read everything about the author and I want to read the reviews, and that's all stuff that like shapes how you experience a book, but doesn't necessarily go onto your list. And so I want the quality time.
Yeah, I do too.
Yes.
Okay, this is the last question before we take a break and then get to the actual list, which is, what did both of you make of 2024 as a year in books? Overall, what was your experience? Was it a good year? Was it a bad year? Were there trends that you felt like really popped to you? Was there anything that felt uniquely 2024 as far as books and reading life go?
That's a really good question. MJ, I'm very curious, especially around trends, what your read is on that. I thought it was a great year for books. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it started beautifully too. Like it's interesting looking at this list I brought of some of my favorites, because I think like all of them but one I read in the first 4 months of the year. Like I thought it just like started beautifully and just kind of kept going. What do you think, MJ?
I completely agree. I thought that this year, January, February, so many great books that really set the tone for the year and raised the bar, and the year kept delivering. I heard a theory that was especially for fiction, because of the election. No one wanted to publish giant books around the election because everyone assumed that our attention would be elsewhere. So I think that front loaded the year. But also, again, like the year just kept delivering. So for me, it was such a triumphant year in books, and I think a surprising one. Both that it was front loaded, but for me, that's the word that I use to describe 2024 in literature. Who would have thought that one of the buzziest books, one of the book that won the National Book Award would be a retelling of Huck Finn, or looking at the National Book Award list. How many of those were debuts? One of them, Ghost Root's one of the finalists, that's a debut short story horror collection, right? Like that is a surprising place to have captured the public imagination, because we think of like especially genre as being like niche, not necessarily for a bad reason, but like those are very specific communities. And so that was surprising to me. We got some really big returns from heavy hitters. Alan Hollinghurst had a new book this year. Again, Percival Everett had a book, but then also really delightful, surprising, and really assured debuts. So for me, surprising is the word that comes to mind.
Okay, guys, no surprise to you. I disagree. I thought this was sort of a disappointing year in books.
And just tell us more.
So I agree. The year started off really strong. All of my favorite books, except for one, well, the ones I'm going to talk about today, came out in the first half of the year. And I just felt like there were some really, really strong books early in the year, and nothing quite lived up to it for me, especially on the fiction side. On the nonfiction side, I think that the year sort of picked up a little bit later and did get better. But a lot of my favorite nonfiction was really sleepy, got like nobody, not sleepy, like the book was sleepy, but like it got slept on. People were not talking about the books that I thought were the most exciting and good. And so I felt like this was sort of a challenging year. Like it felt like there was consensus around books this year in a way that I've never experienced, which is surprising to your point, MJ, I think. But I think it left me feeling like a lot of the year was less exciting than I wanted because everyone sort of agreed, which is actually what I'm interested about when we get to our books, is that I'm worried that we are going to agree about too many books on the list.
Can I ask a question of what are some books maybe that aren't necessarily on this list, but were really buzzy, notable nonfiction books that published later in the year that got slept on? What are those books that you wished got more attention?
Like, I think there was an essay well, I don't know if it was a buzzy book, but I thought it was really good. So like, I think Greta, you and I both read this and loved it, which is How to Tell When We Will Die by Johanna Hedva, a book about disability, pain. Oh, okay. Well, I won't say more then. No, it's also on my list.
I had a feeling.
It's on one of my lists. I have a main list and then I have a list to fill in case you guys steal mine. So like that was a book. I thought the Greta Johnsen book, What If We Get This Right, was so fantastic.
About climate change,
I thought that book was going to be huge. I'm so shocked. I thought The Barn by Wright Thompson was so fantastic. And I have seen it on some lists, but I don't think he got enough due for what he did. Another book that I loved that I thought didn't get enough attention was The Other Olympians, about transgender Olympic athletes in the 1936 Olympics. It was so on time. It was so good. So good. And I think nobody talked about it. I probably didn't talk about it enough, to be honest. But so I do think there's a lot of like hidden nonfiction this year versus some really big nonfiction books, one of which I totally despise, which was Knife. I thought Knife was so mid to bad and got so much attention. Like I just feel like he sucked up all the nonfiction attention in the room. So yeah, that's sort of my answer. Okay, we're going to take a break and we're going to come back with our 10 best books of the year. Valentine's Day is upon us, and I've got love on the brain. Love for books, duh, of course. Hello. Did you forget what podcast you're listening to? I love bringing you all great reads, exclusive author interviews, and behind-the-scenes book gossip. But I can only do that with your support over on Patreon and Substack. Our Stacks Patreon community, also known as the Stacks Pack, is where you can go for book club meetups, a private, very active Discord, and a year-long mega reading challenge to help you achieve all your reading goals. Plus, you also get that monthly bonus episode. Now, over on the Substack, you can subscribe to my newsletter, Unstacked, where I keep the book conversations going. I also give you a healthy dose of sports and pop culture, definitely some hot takes happening over there. And again, that bonus episode. If you don't have a few dollars to spare, don't worry. There are free options on the Substack and the Patreon to get you a little extra Stacks magic. Making this podcast is a total team effort, and by supporting my Patreon and my Substack, you allow me to support my amazing team that makes the show possible every single week. So if you or your friends are looking to meet other book lovers and support this indie podcast, come hang out with me on Patreon, Substack, or both. I would love to have you. And since we're talking about love, you can gift subscriptions to the Patreon and the Substack for that special reader in your life. For the Stacks Pack, head to patreon.com/thestacks. And for the newsletter, head to tracythomas.substack.com. And also, there are links to both in the show notes. Okay, see you in the Stacks. All right, I'm back with MJ Franklin and Greta Johnsen. We're going to do our 10 best books of the year. How we do it every time is I call on you, you give me one book, you tell us a little bit about it, and we move on. If one of the books that someone calls is on your list, just cross it off. You can say this is on my list too, and then pick one of your backup picks. MJ, why don't you start us off?
Okay. I wanted to start with probably a divisive one. Who knows? It's All Fours by Miranda July.
Ooh, yes.
I was hoping this wasn't going to be on our list, but okay.
Starting off strong.
This is great.
I think this book is one of the most remarkable books I published this year in terms of, I guess to start with synopsis, it is about interdisciplinary artist who is very similar to Miranda July herself, but this character is unnamed. And at the start of the book, she decides to go on a road trip to New York after a conversation about parkers and drivers and what type of person she is, and she has all this time off, and so she has booked this like 2.5 week vacation in New York, and so she's decided that she's going to drive there rather than fly, and she makes it just outside of her town, and instead of actually continuing the journey, she holds up at a motel and then decides to like completely renovate it. I think she has like a $20,000 budget using royalties that she got after a commercial use part of her art or something. And so the book is divided into 3 sections. The first section is what is going on with the renovation of this hotel room. She starts this friendship with the interior designer who's making up this motel room. I keep saying hotel, but it's motel. So that's the first part, the motel. The second part, she starts an affair with a mechanic named Davy who dreams of being a dancer.
Oh my gosh.
And the third section, a lot is happening. And the third section is what happens when she goes home. She goes back to her life.
Is any of this spoilers?
Yeah, most of it, kind of. But also, I don't know. I mean, it's probably a lot of that is on the back of the book.
Yeah, okay. I don't think, because so much happens into it,
yes.
like, and it's split into these parts. I don't think they're spoilers because so much happens in between. These are just kind of like the plot anchors.
Yeah, okay. Plot anchors. That's a good way of putting it.
But I will get us out of plot territory to avoid spoilers and just say,
yes,
the reason why I liked it is because Miranda July has this ability to be absolutely zany and whimsical while also being deeply earnest. I don't think I knew at any point where we were going next in this story. And yet there is such a human pathos to everything that's this character is experiencing. She's just doing things, and like the approach is just askew. So this book for me was so thoughtful, but also destabilizing. It has this illicit thrill to it because it is explicit, it is steamy, it's graphic. I'm now just synonyms for graphic, which it extremely is. And it was one of those books that I just had so much fun reading while also being I found it also so thought-provoking at the same time. So that was one of my favorite books, and I don't think I'm alone. It was like one of the biggest books of the summer. It was also shortlisted for the National Book Award for me.
It was on y'all's top 10.
It's
been on almost every. It's one of the most. Again, one of the sort of consensus books of the year. Greta, did you read it?
I read it when you invited me on the show to talk best of. I was like, okay, I'm going to read all 4s.
Oh, so you just read it?
I just read it. I listened to the audiobook. Miranda July narrates it, which is incredible. I kind of hated reading it, but I found it to be such an uncomfortable experience. Like she made so many choices that I just did not agree with. But
the character made choices you didn't agree with, or Miranda July made choices?
The character made choices. However, to MJ's point, Miranda July is so weird and so exquisitely herself, and the earnestness and weirdness that comes through is a palette that I really admire and adore. So I think this is one that I was just deeply conflicted about, but there is a lot I admire about it for sure.
What I will say about this book that I have not read, and I hopefully will not read because I know I won't like this. Like I don't have to go here to know. But what's been interesting about this book is we do an awards at the Stacks called the Stackies, and this book is up for best book we didn't cover on the podcast, as well as most hated book.
Yes,
and I think that speaks to this book aggressively. So that people love it or hate it, and I have yet to find like people who don't understand the other side either. Like people who hate it are like, I get it. Everybody loves it. It was the worst. And people who love it are like, it was weird. I loved it. I understand why you hate it. So I feel like it's like, there's consensus on that too.
Yeah. So
okay, Greta, you're next. What's your pick?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I just want to say this was all very difficult, and I have a weird list that I sort of culled down, and here we are. I think though that my favorite of the year is Beautyland by Marie Helene Bertino, which Tracy, you asked us to also like write up little for your website
yeah.
of like favorites, and I mentioned Beautyland there too.
Yeah.
I thought this was just a phenomenal book. It kind of goes against what I was saying earlier, where I guess there is a bit of something is afoot, but it's not hella plotty. Like I remember recommending it to my mom and she read it and she was like, Greta, this isn't like not a lot this is much closer to like girl walking through the woods thinking about things than you normally like. But this one just landed so perfectly for me. It's about a girl who is born, I think it's in 1977, right as the Voyager spacecraft takes off. And it turns out she's actually like a alien who gets activated when she is, I think, 7. And her task is to like report back to humanity, to her home planet via fax machine, because 1980s. And it's just, I got to talk to Marie-Helene Bertino for Nerdette, and she talked about how like she was really trying to embrace like the profound mundane. And this is a book that I just think is so beautiful on a sentence level. She is an outsider in this world in a way that I think like any teenage girl could also relate to, because how awkward and terrible is it to be a teenage girl? Like there are just so many things about what it means to be human that Marie is able to convey through this lens of being an alien that is just like so exquisitely gorgeous and beautiful. And I just loved it so much. MJ, did you read it?
I read half of it, and this is on my to finish squeeze in this month list. I thought you might recommend this because I remember how much you loved it. And
Yes.
I listened to the episode, and it was such a fun book club. And one trend that I'm seeing, not necessarily specifically in this year, but I feel like modern history, the trend is aliens. Beautyland, Earthlings, which has one of the most unhinged endings that my jaw is still dropped at. Walking Practice by Dolki Min. Corey Fa does social mobility. And then also there's at least one book about a girl who is or may not be an alien that's coming out next year. Aliens are everywhere. The trend is aliens.
Interesting.
I love that.
I have not read this either. It comes very highly recommended from people in the Stacks Pack who read it. They loved it. It's sort of another book we didn't cover on the show, most beloved, not in the most hated category. Okay, I will go next, and I will continue on the outer space theme with a book that I love with my whole heart. I have been screaming about it all year. It is Challenger by Adam Higginbotham. It's about the Challenger disaster. This book is exactly what I look for in a book when done well. This is the exact kind of nonfiction I love. It's giving me history. It's giving me major capitalism failure, major government agency failure. It is giving me pulling on my heartstrings, meeting people who will unfortunately die. It is giving me cover up. It is giving me research, detail. And the thing that this book does that is so hard to do and only the greats can do in film, television, books, whatever, but you've got to be an outstanding storyteller, is we know where this story ends. And still, when we get to the part where the wheels are falling off, where we know you can't believe it's going to happen. I get to the end of this book and I'm just like, there's no way they launch on January 28th. It's not possible. No, it's not. We know that they cannot launch because we know about the O-rings. We know about the weather. There's no way. And then they do the fucking countdown and they fucking launch. And this book is just, I mean, so many people who have read it have been like, my stomach hurt as I was reading those sections, because you're sitting there being like, don't do it. Don't do it. And it's really hard, I think, to pull that off. And Adam Higginbotham, he understands how to write about a disaster in a way that is so compelling. So this is my baby.
Tracy, I mentioned last year that I feel like there are books that they're your books. Like I just associate with you. Challenger is one of them. My question is though, he also wrote Chernobyl, the author?
Chernobyl, Midnight in Chernobyl.
Would you recommend one to start, one or the other? How do they compare?
I have not read Midnight in Chernobyl. I plan to read it next year. I saw the show and I just was like, oh, I don't need to read it. The show is based off of his book. But I will go back I will go back and read it next year. He came on this podcast and we talked, and one of the things that was funny is both of his books are set in 1986 because that's when both the disasters happened.
Oh, wow. Weird.
And so I told him in July of 1986, I was born. So if he wanted to write about me, like another human disaster, a failure of so many agencies. But yeah, I mean, I think that I'm curious to see what he does next, if he just becomes like 1986 guy, or if he branches out. But I don't think it matters which one you read first, or if it does, I guess start with Challenger because that's what I did. But I don't think it matters.
I'm going to start with Challenger after that recommendation.
Yep, totally.
It's so good. Okay, Greta, you get to go next.
Yep. It's How to Tell When We Will Die on Pain, Disability, and Doom, which is a pretty ominous subtitle. It's by Johanna Hedva. And Tracy, I know you really love this one too, so I'd be curious what you think of it. I have so many feelings about this one. I think even just for me personally, as I get older, it's been really helpful to learn more about disability and also just to recognize in my own life the inevitability of people getting sick and how to be able to talk about that and to not just brush over terrible things that are happening in our lives and like actually sit with them and register them and realize that there's like another side of the health coin and we're all going to experience that. And if we can actually address it for ourselves and for other people with some grace, like that is like literally all we can do and will only make our lives better. And that's what I think this book captures really beautifully. It's not necessarily an easy read. It can be pretty intense, but I found it just very necessary. And also there is one sentence in it that will live in my head forever. And it is, do not speak to me of self-care unless you also speak to me of revenge. And like, this is the energy I want to bring into the world all the fucking time. So that's why I love that book.
I think what's so interesting is you've touched on part of what I love about the book, but the other thing I love about the book, which is in that sentence, is Johanna Hedva is funny as hell.
Yes.
They are not doing the thing which is like, oh, woe is me, disability.
Yes.
They are doing the thing that's like, bitch, buckle up.
Yes. Yeah.
You want to talk about disability? Let's talk about poop. Let's talk about mucus. Let's talk about the funny, icky stuff. And I think I've described this book as sort of second generation disability writing in the same way that like sort of first generation immigrant stories are like, I came to America or I left my home and went. And it sort of details what that is. And I feel like the second generation stories are sort of like, this is where I came from. Here's how I feel about it. Or like, here's how that informs how I see the rest of the world instead of being only the story. Like, and I think that's not a knock on other writing. It's more that that's how these stories are, most palatable. First, we have to be taught everything. And then we get to have an opinion about it. And I think that what I love about this book is Johanna Hedva has a fucking opinion. It's like, there is no chance you will read their work and think, I wonder what they think about that. I wonder what that felt like for them. Like, it's just so, the way that disability and pain and all of these things color the whole world in this book is just outstanding.
I'm also really grateful for their use of the phrase healthcare industrial complex. That's one I've thought about a lot.
That's exactly right. Yeah, this highly recommend.
Yeah.
Okay, MJ, what's next for you?
Next for me is a book called The Coin by Yasmin Zahir.
Oh, okay.
Tracy's shocked face. Is this expected, unexpected, hated, loved?
I DNF'd this, but it was a weird experience. I was reading it, and as I was reading it, I was liking it. But then every time it was time to pick up a book to read, I never wanted to go back to my book. So I was like, So I liked it. I thought it was quirky and weird. It feels like you. And it also has maybe the best cover of the year.
An outstanding cover.
Good. So
why do you love it?
It is about a Palestinian woman in New York. And I think this is, Tracy, you've said that you love, for fiction, stories of unhinged women doing unhinged
Yes.
things. This is in the
Acting
Unhinged
badly.
Women Doing Unhinged Things School of Literature.
Yeah.
This woman is in New York and she is up to shenanigans. So she is a teacher at a private school and she teaches mostly underprivileged students, but she quickly goes off script and is just like doing quote unquote unstructured free time. She's pseudo spying on each student's families by having the students write these journals and like they're writing these weird confessions that she should probably report stuff to, but she won't. So that's going on in the school and you're like, you should not be anywhere near children. She also is kind of dating this like very rich pseudo-Russian oligarch. And she's kind of dating him, I say, because she does not like this man, but this man really likes her. And he is the only anchor that she has in New York. And so she's like, he wanted to date. And so I guess we're kind of dating. But then she starts also pseudo cheating on him with a homeless person that she sees in her neighborhood. And that she recognizes because she throws out a coat and then the man picks up the coat and she sees him everywhere. She starts this like weird-ish relationship with him. And he actually gets her to join a scheme where they are scalping Birkin bags. And I think she says that she is taking her taste and giving these expensive bags to unclassy people because like it's very hard to buy a Birkin and there are all of these like rules of when they're available and who they'll give them to or who has the privilege of buying them. So this is a lot of plot. Why I love this book is because it is one of those debuts. This is a debut and it's shocking to me because it is so sharp and well crafted. And I never knew what people meant when they said this word, but reading this book made me realize when they say a book is assured, her voice is like crystal clear. You get the sense that she's not just like another crazy metaphor that I have when storytelling is like, there's the feeling that sometimes a book is just trying to get the story out there, it's squeezing the story out of the toothpaste bottle. And there's another sense that like someone is taking that and just like crafting it. It's not just squeezing it out. It is like so immaculately rendered. The sentences are so funny. The writer, the character, and Yasmin Sahir is sharp, acerbic, knowing, thought-provoking. You cringe because again, like this character should not be doing any of the things that she's doing, but you can't put it down. Maybe once you do put it down, then you're like, it's too painful. I don't want to go back to it. But for me, it was just a debut that completely took me by surprise, and I was shocked that it was a debut based on how meticulous and well crafted it is.
Okay. I have to say, I did DNF it, but I was liking it. It was a weird experience because I liked it, but I just never wanted to return to it. But then when I would read like 20 pages and look up and be like, oh my God, I just read 20 pages. So I agree with everything you've said about it. Okay. Oh my gosh. I don't know where to go next either. I'm going to go with I'm going to stay on the trend of women behaving badly, making bad choices. I'm going with my queen, Danzy Senna.
Yes.
I know the color
There it is. Yep.
I love this book. I know people have problems with the choices Danzy's characters make, but you know what? It makes for great fiction. This is the story of Jane. She is a pseudo professor. I guess she's a professor, but I think she's not tenure
Yeah,
track.
she's
Anyway,
like maybe adjunct or something. Yeah,
she's like an adjunct professor working on her second book, which is the quote unquote mulatto War and Peace. She's struggling, turns in the book, not a hit according to her agent or editor, and she decides, I'm going to sell out. I'm going to work in Hollywood. She works for a Black Hollywood executive who is trying to make the great mulatto television show. Jane herself is a great mulatto. She's married to a artist, Lenny, who just wants to make art that won't sell. Jane's obsessed with money. Jane's obsessed with mulattoes. Have I mentioned this? And Jane is house sitting for her mulatto director friend who makes blockbuster movies, and he's in Australia or something, and they're house sitting with her kids and they're drinking his fancy wine. She's wearing his wife's fancy clothes. Jane makes bad decisions. Is anybody getting this yet from the story? It's a blast. It's a romp. I think there is not a person writing smarter about what it means to be mixed in America than Danzy Senna. I think there are other people who are close by. Special shout out to Come and Get It by Kylie Reed, which I thought does a lot of what this book does. And they're sort of wedged together in my brain. But I love Danzy's sensibilities. I love her jokes. I love her bullshit. I just love everything she puts on the page. She understands that. I described this book when I finished it as a thriller without death or kidnapping.
I mean, right? It's kind of like you're like, yes, bracing
the tension,
yourself.
the stakes, you're like, what the fuck is going to happen? Yeah. Something is afoot. Okay. But it's like the stakes are green smoothie at a Hollywood like executive meeting.
Well, she is so good at revealing just like how everyday ordinary life is weird and surreal, and she pokes fun of so much that should be made fun of. You said the word sensibility, and I think like Danzy's sensibility is unparalleled. I also want to say your sensibility is unparalleled. I love your interview with her, Tracy.
Yeah,
and you spoke, one thing that I learned in that interview, and you spoke so much about it, is why she says mulatto rather than biracial. That was such an interesting discussion. Sorry to piggyback your recommendation with me recommending you.
I love it. We'll link to that episode in the show notes, folks, if you haven't heard it. Go ahead and listen to it. Well, we're going to link to everything in the show notes, but I'll make that one really big.
I will say though, Tracy, like I actually think the stakes in this book are really high. And like, I don't know, like, I don't think Jane is obsessed with money. I think one of the things that worked really well for me about colored television is that Jane makes a series of like incredibly unhinged and like problematic decisions, but you always know that it's because she is in such an economically precarious place and she's just trying to find security and comfort for her family.
Money. She is obsessed with money because of her predicament.
Sure.
Because of the place she's in. But like her motivation and her focus is how will I get the money to do what I need.
That's true. I guess the distinction that I am making is that like it's not like she wants to be rich for the sake of being rich. It's not like she's trying to be famous. Like I read this in tandem with Rumaan Alam's book Entitlement this year, which I really did not like at all. Yeah, and I think a really big reason for that was because it's similar in that like a character is also, she works for a billionaire. And so she's like trying to figure out what she can get out of him essentially throughout the book. But you never get a sense, like her motivations aren't there. And then it just feels really empty and kind of awful in a way that it actually didn't with Jane, because it was like, no, she's worried about her kids and like they need a place to live, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
The other element too, the other stakes is, and this is why I loved it too, is the sense of artistic fulfillment, right? One does not write the mulatto War and Peace for purely financial gains. Like she is someone who's trying to see the world and share how she sees the world with other people. She's an artist and she's living with an artist that makes these non-commercial esoteric paintings. And so she's surrounded by art in various forms. And so there's an artist story here as well. And just the fact that we all three had different understandings of the stakes, I think speaks to how layered this book is.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I think this book didn't get nearly enough love. Again, a second half book that I thought sort of was, I think it got a lot of love. I don't want to say like it's on a lot of lists and things, but to me, I thought this book was my favorite read of the year. It might not be the best book I read this year, though I would argue my taste is so impeccable. What I think is my favorite is the best, but that's a different episode. But yes, I adore this book. I adore Danzy Senna. New people, that main character, Maria, lives rent free in my head. I think about Maria at least once a week. I can't say more, but I love her.
Talk about cutting. Maria has some one-liners. I still think about a one-liner that she says about like a land of racial harmony, like her boyfriend is asking for, and she's like, "We tried that. It's Brazil, and it didn't work." Like there are lines in that book that I still think about.
Yes, I'm obsessed. Oh my God. Okay, Greta.
Yes,
do it.
I am going to recommend. Speaking of debuts, "The Ministry of Time" by Kellyanne Bradley.
Oh,
I
wow.
thought this was an outstanding debut, and I thought it was marketed poorly. Like Outlander was one of the biggest comparisons that people were making to this book, and it is time travel-y, and there is a hot dude from the past, but this is like, it gets pretty violent and is, I would call it sci-fi. It's like, I don't think it's a romance at all, actually.
Wow.
And it's timey-wimey. The hot dude from the past is a, I mean, you know, they would have called him like a explorer, and he's based on someone in real history. But the thing that I think this book does really beautifully is it explores colonialism, really, and like the history of like, are you an intrepid like person who's out there in a really like bold, interesting way, or are you actually just like figuring out how to oppress a lot of people? And it was just really, really good and plotty and interesting. And there was like a twist at the end that I didn't see coming. And I just really enjoyed this one a lot.
I've heard so many mixed things about this
Have
book,
you?
so I'm very polarizing.
I think it's a great debut. I think there are things about it that didn't totally work, but I think there's some really interesting elements, and I think it's totally worth reading for what it's worth.
I was just writing down some of the words you used to describe it because I've been struggling with how to place this book. I've heard people talking about it, but I'm like, what is this book about? And so I was like leaning in, writing down your descriptions, and it's not a romance. But I assume that because you have to clarify that there are romantic elements to it. There's sci-fi, time travel, colonialism.
Yes.
So much is happening here.
Yes.
There's a lot.
Yes. There are a lot of really interesting elements. Yeah. I thought it was great. And I think it's one of those where like, I don't think it got enough accolades for what it is. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to shout it out. I figured it wouldn't be on y'all's list. So I brought it.
It's definitely not on mine. Okay. MJ.
I think we have a shared one, and I am just going to jump in, and that is Martyr.
Okay, good.
Yes.
I was nervous none of us was going to say it. Okay. Cool.
I did not put it on my list because I knew between the two of you we would get to yell about how wonderful it is.
Okay.
Then should we do a shared like description of this? Because one, I feel like I've described this many times and I can never capture it properly.
I can never capture it either.
No, you can't. That's the thing about murder, right?
Let's tag team it. And like we'll all fill in the blanks. This is why we're a band. This
is great. But Christian, leave this in. This is funny. Leave this in. Don't cut this. Okay. You pick murder. Go. You start.
Okay.
No spoilers.
Okay.
Keep it as tight as possible.
I'll try.
Because I feel like some of the joy of this book is not really knowing what's going to happen and where it's going to go. And so I don't want to give away too much.
I hear you.
Part of the reason why I also am hesitant to start off describing it is because I also described it for the book review podcast, and I started off that one, and I don't want to repeat. But I'm trying to find which.
Do you want me to start? Okay,
yes.
I'll start. I will start describing this. You guys can fill it in. This is a book about Cyrus, who's Iranian-born, moves to the United States at 2 years old with his father.
I think that's a very important specification.
He moves to the Midwest with his father. His mother has died in a shooting down of an airplane that was a passenger plane by the United States in an act of war that was considered an accident, an oopsie daisies by the United States, but killed hundreds of people, including children. Cyrus is obsessed with this idea of what his mother died for, which is how we sort of get to his idea of he wants to write about martyrs and become one himself. So he has this preoccupation. That is sort of the general premise of the book. If you read the flap cover, which I don't recommend, there is more information about where this book goes, but I don't think you need it.
I think that's a perfect description, and I think it gets at, for me personally, I'm curious what everyone else thinks and why they love it too, but the reason why I love this book is you just fall in love with the voice. That voice is hurt, but searching. That voice is that voice is struggling. And I left this book feeling like I will read a million other books about specifically Cyrus. I will read a million books by Kaveh Akbar. He's a poet. And so you get there's a poet's flair that is alive and well in this book.
Yes.
And I'm speaking very vaguely because, again, I don't want to spoil anything, but in addition to the poet's voice, this book is just stuffed with interesting facts and phenomenon and
pop culture things,
pop culture
music,
things.
characters. I forgot one piece of the story that I do think is important that is not plot, but is about Cyrus. He is also in recovery from addiction.
I'm glad you mentioned
and
that.
Yeah, because that is important to his sort of headspace. And that is where the book starts. I think the first section is about him struggling and recovery related things, like reflecting on that. So that is important to the book.
Well, and I think too, I mean, I think it's worth noting that the title has an exclamation point in it, which just like, you know, in terms of registering vibes, like, yes, it is about martyrhood, but like there's an exclamation point here. And I think also, Tracy, you said that like he's trying to figure out like what is worth martyring yourself for. I think the other side of that is also very present and very beautiful in this book is what is worth living for. Like, how do you make a life that is worth, like, how do you earn living when so many people don't even get that opportunity? Like, how do you do what you can with the life you have, which I think is also really gorgeous and just so like vibrant and urgent in this story.
Yes. And to plug Greta, the three of us talked about Martyr earlier this year on Nerdette.
Yes.
And I think one of the things that I love about this book is I'm such a critical person. I can always find a nit to pick with a piece of work. And I found plenty of nits in Martyr. And yet still, when someone says it, when I think about it, my hand immediately goes to my chest. I rub my chest because I feel so warmly about Cyrus, about Cyrus's uncle, who's a character, about Kaveh Akbar, about the color yellow on the, like, it just, this book, despite things that I would change, there's nothing I would change about this book because it gets to the feels and it's so unique in that way that there can be things that I, a monster, don't like and still just devour and love and think so fondly of this book. Okay. We did it. Martyr. Okay. Martyr's on the list. Thank God. I was getting nervous.
We're really holding our cards close, I feel like, with this one.
Okay. Well, I think this is my last pick. And then I think we agree on the 10th one. I'm pretty sure. So I will do my third pick, which is a memoir. Again, another book that did not get enough attention, according to me. Another Word for Love by Carvel Wallace. This to me was far and away the memoir of the year, as far as I'm concerned. It is about Carvel Wallace. It's a memoir. The first section is about their boyhood as a Black kid growing up with a mom who is struggling to maintain housing with addiction, all sorts of things. He's in and out with his aunt and uncle who there's some abuse happening there. It's really a struggling, trauma-filled childhood, I think is how you would present the first part. Part two, we'll skip over because it doesn't really help my narrative of the book. It's about God. It's very small. It's like notes on God. It's very small. And then part three is all about healing, possibility, what to make of trauma, what is possible to make of trauma. And the writing is so beautiful. I thought it was funny. I read the book before it came out. And then as it started coming out, I started seeing reviews. People kept saying, Carvel Wallace, poet and author. And I think at one point, Carvel's like, I appreciate this so much. I'm actually not a poet. But the writing feels that way. The writing feels so beautiful and poetic that you're like, of course, this is a poem. I mean, for people who love Kiese Layman, for people who love Hanif Abdurraqib, it is in conversation with both heavy and every single word that Hanif has ever written. It has that sort of earnestness and that purity. There's sex in this book too. There's a lot of exploration. There's a section about apology that I think about regularly that is so beautiful. But it's one of those books where it sort of starts off as a quote unquote typical trauma memoir. And you're just like, oh, tough life, poor kid. And then it becomes this whole other thing about like, well, what do we make of this? What can we make of a world? What is another word for love? And it is just so moving and so beautiful and earnest again. Earnest for sure.
That's another trend that I'm seeing this year. I feel like there's a lot of earnestness in this year's literature. A lot of self-searching, a lot of personal reckoning. I love it. That's in the MJ school of literary fiction where nothing happens, but you're just with the character for a long time. This has been a good year for me.
I feel like earnestness is in is like so in right now. I had the pleasure of doing Hanif's book event here in LA. And I think that I referred to him as our great Ernest King. And everyone in the audience laughed so hard because he is. I mean, between him and Kaveh, they are the dueling, like they're the two
here's
popes
my
of
heart.
earnestness.
I cracked it open for you. You're welcome. Feast on it with me. Yeah.
And they're like best friends, and I'm like obsessed with their friendship and their earnestness. That whole group of poets is just Clint Smith. It's just all these earnest men just writing poems about fatherhood and music. It's very precious. Okay, this brings us to our 10th pick. I'm assuming we're all on the same page here. We can just say it on the count of 3.
Oh, good. I was hoping you would do that.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. James. Yeah. Who wants to do it? Greta, you want to set this one up?
Oh my gosh, sure. Well, I mean, MJ kind of did earlier, but essentially it's a retelling of Huck Finn. You do not need to have read Huck Finn recently. I think that's an important specification.
I've never read it.
I think I read some of it in high school. This is, however, an inversion of Huck Finn's story because this is told from the point of view of Jim, also known as James, who is the enslaved person who goes on adventures with Huck in the original Mark Twain book. There is, I think it's fair to say, a certain audacity to being like, oh yeah, Mark Twain, like that classic, like canonical American literature. I'm going to fuck with that a little bit. And Percival does it so exquisitely. This is such a smart book. There are so many different layers to unpack. It's also, he spares no single word. I mean, this isn't a super long book, but it is just excellent. And it's so exciting to see something, I think, in the year 2024 and be like, oh, canon. Like we can just add it to the shelf and it's just there and there's no question about it. And it's so beautiful and brilliant and smart and heartfelt, like all the things.
Yeah.
One of the things that impresses me the most about this book is how it taps into an existing work and reshapes our existing cultural narratives while also still standing on its own as its own unique, original, all-star work of literature. I think that's a really hard thing to do, to tap into, to retell something and make your own voice and sensibility rise above and outside of that existing property, especially something as like core to the American canon as Huck Finn. He set himself up no small task, and he really takes a huge swing and knocks out of the park. And I don't know why I'm doing the sports metaphor because I'm not a sports person.
I love it. I love it. You're doing great. You're doing great.
I think it's remarkable. And I think it also feels like this career capstone for Percival Everett. Who knows how many books he has left in him? I hope many, many, many. But
probably a lot because he at least has 30 years of life. So he's probably got another 30 books.
He puts them out.
But he's been writing so many books that have gone under the radar and people are coming to them more and more now, especially because of American fiction. So to see someone get their flowers and watch the energy and excitement around this book coalesce in real time throughout this year has been remarkable.
Yeah. I think one of the things I love about this book is that I was sort of intimidated going in because I had not read Huck Finn and I started it and I got 2 pages in and I was like, babe, if I start this will be the only book I read all year. There's no way. I'm not doing it. And I think like when a book is really beloved and like acclaimed, people can be worried that it's going to be hard or challenging to read, difficult to get through because it's like critically acclaimed. So it must be a lot. This book is so accessible. And I mean that not in a pejorative way, but in a like, you pick it up, you read it in a day. It goes down so smooth. It's cold water in the desert, right? It's just like, I want it. I need it. Fill me up. It is funny, like Percival Everett. It is so... I mean, the thing about Percival Everett and Danzy Senna, who are husband and wife, and that I love about both of them is that they are never precious with their characters. Both of them are sort of mean to their characters, which I love. Like they have such a strong point of view as the authorial voice that comes out because they make their characters do shit and they make their characters say shit where you're just like, Danzy hates Jane as much as I do, right? Or like, and I feel like that comes out in this book. And then also the other thing I love, and I will not say any details, I will not spoil a thing. This book starts in one place, and when you get to the ending and you close the book, I literally was like, this is a different book, but in the best possible way.
Yep.
Like how we got here makes total sense, but where I started is not where I am at the ending. And that is really hard to do, especially in 200 and whatever pages, especially with a story we already know and a character we're already somewhat familiar with.
Yeah.
Please bear with me as I form this thought now, but I have this taxonomy in my head of books that show, like, beautifully, they show a reckoning, they show an experience, et cetera, et cetera. They, like, capture a moment, and books that push in terms of, like, pushing a cultural script, pushing the bounds of what we think of as books. I think this book starts off as a book that shows. It's a book that shows the other side of Huck Finn that we haven't seen. It's a book that shows the humanity of James in a way that we haven't seen. And by the end, it's a book that has pushed. It's pushed cultural scripts. It's very cerebral. It is pushed our notions of philosophy. It has pushed it. Yeah, I don't want to say more, but I think that's a part of that's a taxonomy I'm forming now, and I think that it's captured in this book.
I love that. Okay, that is our list. That's a really good list. I'm really proud of us. Way to go, everybody. We're gonna we are like out of time, but we're gonna wrap up quickly. We're gonna quickly we're not gonna do what we normally do, which is like predictions for 2025 reading. I don't know. Stuff's gonna happen.
Okay.
We're gonna be wrong, but I do want you to each share maybe 2 books you're very excited about for 2025. We'll take Hot Air off the table since that's a book that I invented and both of you
Scratching
can
this
suck
off
it.
the list.
Hot Air by Tracy Thomas.
Hot Air by Marcy whatever, as told to you by Tracy Thomas. Published by Tracy Thomas Books, Inc. If you need a copy, come to my house. I'm the only one who can distribute my book.
Marcy's going to be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, she's going to hate this. I don't know, Marcy. I'm sorry to Marcy in advance. I hope I like the book, because if I don't, this will be the last you hear of it also. MJ, do you want to start with do you want to just give us 2 books you're excited about? We don't have to take turns.
I'll start with, I have one, which is Stag Dance by Tori Peters.
Oh, yeah.
Tori Peters is the author of Detransition Baby, which is one of my all-time favorites. I know next to nothing about Stag Dance other than that it's coming out, and I will read anything that Tori Peters writes. So that's one book that I'm excited about.
That was on our list for best books the year that it came out, Detransition Baby.
Yeah, that book is
I think
incredible.
that was the book we all agreed on actually that year. I think there were 3 of us and we all agreed on that one. Even me, a novel. I loved it.
The Stacks Packs is giving taste. It's giving taste. That's the one that I wanted to mention. Stag Dance.
What about you, Greta?
I have 3, but I'll be really quick about them because all of them are like, I know very little about them, but I'm really excited just because they're authors I admire. The first one is Nnedi Okorafor's newest book, Death of the Author. That comes out in January. And then the other 2 are new novels from Karen Russell and Kevin Wilson. Karen Russell wrote Swamplandia many years ago and has written a couple other, I think mostly short story collections since then, and is just like so weird and vibrant and wonderful. And Kevin Wilson's book is called Run for the Hills. It comes out in May. And I'm pretty sure it's like a cross-country road trip novel, but like Kevin Wilson is just one of my all-time favorite authors forever. So I'm just like so excited. I already have a galley of it, but I'm saving it because I'm like too excited. I can't read it yet because it's a gift I can give myself eventually. Yeah, exactly. So yeah.
Just like MJ said that there's books he associates with me, Kevin Wilson is an author I associate with you, Greta.
I'm honored. That's amazing.
You are the Kevin Wilson.
That's so beautiful.
Kevin Wilson girly in my life. I obviously have too many books that I'm excited about. Right? I will just plug. I wrote a list of most anticipated books. I think my list had like 41 books. Usually it has like 30.
Wow,
so
wow.
I'm really
So you're excited for 2025. That's great.
I'm not even that excited. I think that I don't know. I feel like I'm I don't have, usually I go into the year being like, this is what I'm like. Last year I was like, I'm excited about James.
Right.
This is what I'm excited about.
Yeah.
This year I'm going into 2025 like, there's lots of things and I could be excited about any of that. Like I don't have a strong, though now I have to be all in on hot air because I've made it my personality.
I wonder if you're going to hate it. I'm so
I can't wait. I probably am. I'm probably never going to talk about it again. So obviously Imani Perry has a new book coming, Black and Blues, which I'm excited about, but I don't want to talk about that because everybody already knows I love her. So I'm going to skip that. There is a book from critic Andrea Long Chu called Authority coming out.
Cool.
It's a collection of essays about who has the authority to talk about culture. And Chu is known for mean, nasty reviews. That piece about Hana Yanagihara, that was Andrea Long Chu. If you guys think I'm mean, get ready. So good. So I'm thrilled for mean cultural criticism to come out. I will say this. Kaveh Akbar blurbed Authority and he posted about it and I DM'd him and was like, I'm so excited about this. And he said, actually, you sort of remind me of Andrea Long Chu. And I was like, highest compliment. Also, what coming from an earnest king like you, I feel like I should feel bad.
We need that energy going into next year more than ever.
Yes. Don't talk to me about care if you're not going to talk to me about revenge, babe.
Let's fucking go.
And then I'm going to put these two together. There's a book called Disposable by Sarah Jones, and then a book called There Is No Place for Us by Brian Goldstone. Brian Goldstone is about his book is about the working homeless. And then Disposable is about people who were sort of like thrown away in the reckoning with COVID, disabled people, people who were considered like,
high risk.
What was that word we use? What was the word we used for people who had to work? Essential workers.
Oh, sure.
But I think all of these books are sort of about capitalism and the failure of the social safety net and all of these things. And they both look like sort of in the school of maybe Evicted, A Visible Child, where they're following certain families who have dealt with this, which is another kind of nonfiction kink for me. And I think that is going to be a trend for the year, which is going to be about social safety net books. I think we're going to see a lot of books that deal with the failures of since 2020 that are actually really good because they've had time to sort of marinate. So those are mine. I have way more on this list that I'm cutting because we're over time, but
I know I'm panicking that I didn't get to mention Rufy Thorpe's book,
it.
Margot's Got Money Troubles.
I had that on my list too.
Oh,
I love
did
that
you?
book.
Oh man,
I actually thought it would be on the list.
Yeah.
I started it because I thought it would be on the list,
Yeah.
and then I moved to my 2025 book. But I liked it. I don't know that I needed. I read 30 pages, and I'm just like, oh, this goes on for more pages.
I think you would end up liking it. It's interesting because it ends up being a novel about the failure of social safety nets in a lot of ways, right? Because it's about a young mother who's like cannot figure out how she can take care of her baby and also work and all of the things, and so she ends up starting an OnlyFans account.
Yep.
And
that is also a book where something is afoot. She is thinking through this kind of whimsical maximalist plot.
Yes.
Stop making me want to read 2024 books.
Well,
I need to move on.
I'm sorry. Well, the only other thing I will say about it is that the audiobook is narrated by Elle Fanning, who also is going to star as Margot in the Apple TV Plus adaptation. And if you are not enticed enough by that, the father, who's this like pro wrestler guy named Jinx, will be played by Nick Offerman. So in case you are curious, Margot's father.
Not the father of the baby.
So no, correct. Margot's father. Thank you. So yeah.
Who's going to play the father of the baby, the teacher?
I don't know. I haven't seen a full casting list. I don't know if
I feel like Adam Scott has to do it.
Oh my God.
Gives
that would
big
be
Adam Scott
perfect.
energy.
And yeah,
That
who knows?
character?
You never know with an adaptation if it'll even happen. But my fingers are crossed. It would be so much fun. Sorry, MJ, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that character of the father of the baby, the professor, is such a particularly awful type of smarmy, like powerful and pathetic at the same time. Like that casting has to be spot on.
Yeah.
But yeah,
okay,
I do
this
think
book
it was
is
one
not
of the best
technically
books
in
of
our
the
top 10.
I'm
You
sorry.
guys, stop trying to make it an 11. We did it. We did 10. I don't want to bump to 11.
Okay.
11 is so unattractive to me. I'm
it's
sorry.
nice.
I am a top 10
2
purist.
ones in a row.
But we'll link to this book in the show notes for
Extra
those of you who
shout-out.
want that fake 11th pick. But it's not real. It's not official unless you want to throw out something that you already put on. But
I would throw out Ministry of Time, but it's okay. That's just my own panic happening.
Wow, I
know.
can't believe you put Ministry of Time on over Margot. I'm
know,
now
me
realizing
neither.
this.
I thought we'd have more time, Tracy.
Okay, well, this is how this happens. If you guys want to know how lists get made, the fallibility of lists, this is exactly what happened. Take it to Greta, though, because I stand by my picks.
That's fine.
Everybody, thank you both for being here. I think we've actually cemented that moving forward, it will be the three of us doing this every
great.
year.
I would love that.
I've been
This is
tossing
so
around
fun.
different
Yes,
people, but I
please.
think this is it. This is it. Locked
I
in.
love.
Our
I feel like
calendar's ready.
we like overlap really nicely, but then also branch off really nicely. Like I think
Yeah.
it's like this is a great someone is going to find something they love on this list, which is wonderful.
And if they don't, you're in the wrong place, babe. You're reading the wrong books.
This is a group that believes in revenge, remember?
Yes. Strongly. That is our energy we're taking into next year. Not only do we believe in it, that's our aspiration is to get deeper into it. Thank you both so much for being here. And everyone else, we will see you in the stacks. All right, y'all, that does it for us. Thank you so much for listening. And thank you again to Greta Johnsen and MJ Franklin for joining the show. Do not forget the Stacks Book Club pick for December is Tacky by Rax King. We will be discussing the book on Wednesday, December 25th with Nora McInerney. If you love the show and you want inside access to it, head to patreon.com/thestacks and join the Stacks Pack. You can check out my Substack at tracythomas.substack.com, and you can gift either of those to the book lovers in your life. Make sure you're subscribed to the Stacks wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you're listening through Apple Podcasts or Spotify, be sure to leave us a rating and a review. For more from the Stacks, follow us on social media at The Stacks Pod on Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. And you can check out our website at thestackspodcast.com. This episode of The Stacks was edited by Christian Duenas with production assistance from Megan Caballero. Our graphic designer is Robin McCrite, and our theme music is from Tigirigis. The Stacks is created and produced by me, Tracy Thomas.